All right, welcome. So yeah, today I'm working on this John Deere 140. It's an H1 series. And H1 just means it has one hydrostatic lever. They make an H3, which has 3 levers, I've come to find out. So first thing was freeing up this because this didn't seem to work. So I pulled the battery cage that is in here and remove the gas tank just so I could get in here and kind of see what everything's doing. And so it's kind of hard to tell, but move this wire out here. This was I just bought this a day ago, so I'm just getting around to seeing if I can free everything up. So on the inside of this lever, it comes through here, and then there's a cotter pin. It's hard to tell, but there's a cotter pin right there and another lever. And so when I move, it's really hard to tell, but there you go. It gets close to that, I'll call the bushing. And then when I pull it, it goes out. And it's just hard to tell how much this is supposed to move. But it is moving now. So I don't know if that's normal or not, but that's progress. The choke cable is here. This is a 68 H1, just moves freely, doesn't do anything. This one only goes about halfway. The ignition just moves about. It doesn't have the washer. And then this looks like it's for the braking system. So let's just start with the choke here. So if I come on the inside to the choke, again, it's kind of lever based. And then you have a throttle cable that's behind it here. And as you can see, it's pulled away. There's a connector up here, and the metal is pulled away from there, and that's what allows the throttle cable to actuate. So if I was to move the throttle cable on the outside here, I'll go up and down. It's moving the whole cable. It's not actually pulling inside the tensioner that needs to do something. And if you were to follow it, it basically comes inside, runs out, and then it comes out down here through the frame, and it comes up, and it goes to your carb right here. Here's the choke side. And I will move the choke, and as you can tell, you can hear it, but it doesn't do anything, and it should move that. So it needs a new choke cable. And then basically I'll come over here since they're both cable driven, and it's the same concept. This is the throttle. Like I said, it only goes about halfway. I think it's still supposed to go up more. I'm gonna have to mess with the actual mechanism here, but same concept here. If you were to look, if I was to see, it pulled out of that. And I feel like what the problem is with this one, I could probably make it go up a little higher, is that it's not fully seating up inside that coupling, is the best way to describe it. So it would go up higher. But long story short, this one does the same thing because it's not actually pulling on the cable inside, so it doesn't do anything. So I need a new throttle and I need a new choke cable. This is for the clutch, it says, and it's frozen shut. It doesn't do anything. I turn it, it moves the whole housing in. It has a little bit of a gap. Push it in, does nothing. Pull it out, does nothing. So that's kind of what I'm fighting with here, as well as this is the transmission. This does nothing. This is actually just loose play in the shifter. And if you look inside here, it should go to that bushing and rod essentially. And when I move the handle, it doesn't do a thing. So, and then you have this, which seems like it's tied to the brake. If I am to move that, it'll move this spring mechanism inside here. So I'll put it in the bottommost position and lock it, and it brings it over to here. And if you put it in the topmost position, the spring basically compresses just a little bit more, is all I can tell when I put it in the topmost position. So it's just basically, it's hard my hand, space is not, there's a lever or a piece of steel, and what that does is it moves that piece of steel up or down on the spring to give it more tension, is what it looks like. I have tried pushing in the actual clutch brake with this in the center, and it does stick, but it doesn't come back up. You have to manually pull it, and when it's actually in that middle position, it won't let you pull it back. You have to move this, and then you missed it, but you push on it again, and then it'll allow you to release it. So I'm assuming it needs to be in that downward position to operate, or at least to release that clutch brake system. And I'm not quite sure what the top portion does. So like I depress the pedal, I put it in the top one, and it's locked. So I assume maybe the top is a lock, but it's weird that the middle doesn't do anything. You can't unlock the pedal in the middle position. You have to put that in the bottom position, and then if you push, it'll let you release it. So, a couple things, I guess, obviously, that I've noticed just by owning it, you know, the past day, just tinkering on it here. I blew out underneath the engine, all that junk that's in there, that big huge pile came out of the bottom below the Kohler here. I just was blowing in between the frame and underneath, and then same thing on the other side. It's been rewired, obviously. This looks like this probably goes to here, which looks like it goes to the cigarette lighter. This one here looks like it goes to a bulb of some sort. It's supposed to be here, I assume. That must be a headlight switch. That's probably what that is. That's a headlight switch. And then, yeah, so I think that's it. But the wiring inside has been cobbled together. I was able to get it to start when I had the tank and everything in. I just had to feather the throttle essentially manually on the carb. So it does run, and it sounds good when it runs, but again, I really need to figure out what's going on with the transmission, because obviously if I can get the engine running, and it is a 12 horsepower, it's a K301. So it's a 12 horsepower Kohler. It's like I said, it's an early 68 because, sorry about that. The serial number here is a 4000 series. So it's a very early 68. But I guess where I'm going is I need to figure out how to get this unstuck. Tried down here, just gently tapping it with a hammer. I sprayed WD-40 over everything in here. There does seem to be a Zerk fitting right here for the steering. But I don't see any other Zerk fittings that I could find. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't put Zerk fittings like on the outside of here or on the inside. Seems just kind of weird that they didn't do that, even back then. And then the same thing on this lever. I couldn't find any Zerk fittings to kind of grease it up to see if I could unstick that. And then the previous owner, I noticed he stuffed a fire extinguisher underneath there, so you know that's always a good sign. And you know, suiting, obviously I'm using my Sears jack. It's probably close to the same year as the tractor, honestly. So yeah, I'm gonna have to obviously clean up wiring, do a bunch of stuff, get some new cables to get the engine running properly. It's only about 80 bucks, it looks like, online to get new cables, so I may just do that. And then when I transported it on the 68, you have this release valve is what I guess I'll call it, to transport it. And so I backed that out counterclockwise, and then the back wheels were free, and it allowed me to move the tractor and get it on a trailer. And then I tightened it back down after I did that. Oil looks good. Air filter looks clean. We said it ran 5 years ago. I pulled this out, the check. There's absolutely no fluid in there. So that's not a good sign, but in like full disclosure, accidentally ran the engine. I didn't accidentally, I purposely meant to do it. I had this released all the way when I got the engine running because I was worried, since this didn't work, I didn't want the tractor to jump forward or backwards in my garage, and it spit out probably a gallon of fluid. I need to get online or have somebody help me out, tell me how much fluid these are actually supposed to take, but that could be why maybe it's just not like showing a level on the indicator, because maybe it's just a quart low or whatever, 2 quarts, 3 quarts. Whatever it spewed out the top. Like I said, I don't think it's a gallon. It was probably like half a gallon that came out, but a few quarts for sure. And so hopefully that's okay. and it's just bound up somewhere here. But that's basically where I'm at with it. If I can get it running and driving, I'd really like to clean it up, possibly repaint it. I did another John Deere project 2 years ago, I want to say. So I have some PPG paint for the yellow and green that's on the newer tractors. I had a 2025R, and I did like a custom diesel tank with the John Deere logos and stuff. So I'd like to, like I said, maybe repaint this. It's been resprayed once before. It's hard to tell on certain spots, but like here, it's pretty obvious. They've resprayed it here. There's some respray down here. And then it's hard to tell in the engine bay compartment if it's been resprayed or not, but it looks like it's been resprayed at least once probably in its lifetime, because like here, I don't know what's going on, but there's some discoloration there. But yeah, and there's obviously like on the cables, there's some paint. So I assume from the factory, those did not have any paint on them. The other thing that I have a question about, and it's hard to see, but there is like a small, I don't know if my camera can get in there. Can it get in there? Yes, it's really hard to see, but there's like a yellow thing that you can see in there. It looks like it's a wire connector as I was blowing this out. And I don't know, no, that doesn't work, sorry. I don't know what that goes to. So it looks like it's just kind of free hanging in there. And then the other odd thing, I will pull this down, is it was getting spark obviously because it ran, and they have it hooked up to here. So these two are connected, but the original, it looks like an original plug. I haven't traced it down yet all the way, but this cable is crimped down and goes in here somewhere, and this is not hooked up. So, and it runs obviously without it. I don't know if this goes like the charging system, or it only has one spark plug, so just kind of weird. Yeah, that's basically it. That's where I'm at. That's how much I've figured out so far on the tractor, of kind of like what's wrong with it, what work I have ahead of me here. And then I guess on the 68, this is probably like the up down for the deck, I assume. All my labels are ripped off, as you can tell, so it's pretty hard to see actually what they actually mean. But that's basically it. It's in pretty good shape visually for how old it is. I mean, obviously it needs a repaint. I can't get the hood all the way there, but you know, it's missing one of the bushings up front there. And then you can tell it's a 68 because the bezel here is all green, and it has, you know, the hydraulic ports there up front with the caps. And then, you know, the hood's in pretty good shape. I don't know if I got a good picture, but overall it's in pretty good shape. And then yeah, the body looks pretty good. It's not rusted. There's no holes through it. So I think this is salvageable if I wanted to do a repaint / restore on this. But like I said, I don't know enough about these transmissions, if I can get parts, if they're rebuildable or not, and like what's involved. So anyhow, it's getting long enough already. Thanks for watching the video. Any advice somebody could provide, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks.